Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. And now we will begin our lesson. Yeah, it is about chapter 9, and this is about the risk. Yeah, assessing the risk, penilaian risiko. Yeah, assessing the risk. So in here you will know about the risk model. Yeah, model risiko in auditing. And this is about the risk, assessing the risk for material misstatement. Okay, there are some key points, and this is the summary. Firstly, you will know about the audit risk, and of course, if we talk about the audit risk, we talk about the risk of misstatement. And for the risk of misstatement, the nature, yeah, sifat dasar, the nature will be divided by financial statement level and assertion level. Yeah, assertion level will be the nature is comes from the inherent risk or risiko bawaan, control risk, risiko pengendalian. It is like the risiko pengendalian, control risk is in the internal control, yeah, internal control of the company. Risiko bawaan or inherent risk is from the account itself, yeah, masing-masing akun, from the business itself, from the operational itself. So this is control. This is comes from the each of account nature. And second, you will know about the procedures for risk assessment. Yeah, there is an inquiry, analytical procedure, yeah, observation, inspection, objective discussion, and the others. Also, in the third, you will know consider about the fraud risk. Yeah, fraud risk. And fraud risk also occur in the financial statement level and assertion level. And in the assertion level, you will know about three classes. Yeah, class from of transaction. Yeah, class of account balance, class of presentation and disclosure. And the fourth, you will know about the to identification significant risk from the non-routine transaction. Yeah, the account balance or transaction that requires estimates, and of course the fraud risk. All of the fraud risk always become a significant risk. How much, how many, whatever the amount, yeah, is it if the case is the fraud, of course it will be risky. And yes, this is the main point for this chapter about the audit risk model. PDR equal to AAR, yeah, divided by IR multiplied by the CR. Yeah. So in here you will know about this four risks. Okay. Also you will know about how to assess, yeah, AAR, yeah, acceptable audit risk. Acceptable audit risk. Yeah, from the engagement risk, yeah, risiko perikatan for the first time. You will know about the entity condition, yeah, and you will know about the financial condition, and of course you have to evaluate the management integrity. And for the second, it's about assessing the ER, IR, the inherent risk, yeah, from the financial statement segments. Yeah, like I said, yeah, inherent risk is risiko bawaan. So this is the risk comes from the segments, from the financial statement. Risk that occur for each segments in the financial statements. And you have to know about the factors to consider, and these factors will be determine the amount of audit evidence. So if you want to have much massive amount of audit evidence, of course you will have to do the audit procedures. Yeah, once again, you do the audit procedure to get the audit evidence. Yeah. So your audit evidence amount will be determined by the audit procedure that the auditor do. Eight, it is about the relationship about risk and evidence. Yeah. And the last is the risk relationship, relationship of the risk and materiality. Okay, now we will begin our first objective. Wait a minute. Okay, okay. Now we will begin our first objective. Okay, we have to define risk in auditing. What is the risk in auditing? Okay, for us auditor, we have to accept, we have to tolerance, some level of risk or uncertainty, ketidakpastian in performing audits. Risk of material misstatement, at the overall financial statement level, this is the first financial statement level. Refer that risk that relate pervasively is kind of menyebar, menyeluruh to the financial statement as a whole and potentially affect a number of different transactions and accounts. Affect a number. So many transactions, many accounts will be affected by this kind of the risk. That's the first risk from the financial statement level. And the second, risk of material misstatement in the assertion level. Once again, assertion, occurrence, accuracy, cut off, assertion level. There are two components to risk at the assertion level. Firstly, inherent risk. Second, control risk. So inherent risk in here, susceptibility of an assertion to material misstatement. Control is that internal control will not prevent, fail to prevent or fail to detect material misstatement. This is the control risk definition. Okay. So this is about the risk in auditing, from the financial statement level and assertion level. Okay. Until here, is there any question about the first objective? This is the concept, basic concept of risk in auditing. Okay, I will go to the second objective. Distinguish the different type of risk assessment procedure. Okay, there are some ways, some procedure to assess the risk of audit. Including this, the first is inquiry, the management, and the others within the entity. So the risk assessment procedure first comes from the entity. We have to inquire the management, like the CEO, the department of production, marketing, and so on. And what risks rely in the entity, what risks in the marketing department, what risks in the production department, we have to make an inquiries. That's the first risk assessment procedure. Second, of course, with analytical procedure. And of course, if we talk about the analytical procedure, we will like to like analyze the financial statement, like the financial ratio, like the significant increasing, significant decreasing, analytical procedure. This is from the financial statement perspective. And the third is from the observation and inspection. So this is from the auditor perspective. The auditor direct knowledge. They have to observe. They have to inspect the document. The transaction. And the fourth also kind of important is about discussion among engagement team members. We like to say it's discussion within auditing because once again, audit is not individual, but audit is performed by the team, team of 3 people, team of 2 people, 4 people, 10 people, and every person, each person have different tasks. yeah, with different audit scope. Yeah, so they have to discuss whether there is any risk in this company. And the fact is the other special procedure to detect the risk. Yes. And then this is the like the figure, yeah. This is the procedure, 5 procedure, yeah. This is from the company, yeah. This is from the financial statement. This is from the auditor. This is from the auditing, and all of them will provide input, yeah, for understanding the entity, yeah. Yeah. So this procedure will have a better understanding of the entity and environment, yeah, including the internal control. And this will help the auditor to set the risk. Yeah. And after we have can assess the risk, yeah, in the beginning, we would like to develop audit strategy and audit plan, yeah, in response to assess the risk. Yeah, this is kind of the model, yeah, assessment procedure, provide input for understanding, help auditor to assess, and after we assess, yeah, we will develop the audit strategy and audit plan. Okay, and until here, the second objective, is there any question? Yeah, it's still kind of basic, yeah. You already know about this inquiry, yeah, analytical procedure, observation, inspection, yeah, inspection, yeah, auditing, tracing, yeah. Okay, is there any question about second objective? No? Okay. Because until here, there is kind of relationship with the previous chapters. So it's still easy to, yeah, follow. And the third, it is about the consideration of fraud risk. Okay. Risk assessment procedure include assessing the risk of material misstatement. Yeah. Once again, material misstatement can be the cause of material misstatement can be fraud or error. And here you have to consider about the fraud risk. Okay, this is the consideration. Yeah? You have to consider about the financial statement level and assertion level. Yeah? This is financial statement level in as a whole. If we talk about the assertion level, yeah, appearance, completeness, yeah, cut off, and so on, yeah, and you have to know about the class of transaction. You have to consider in the balance sheet and the presentation and disclosure. In here, IS is main income statement. So I would like to say, if we talk about the class of transaction level, yeah, you can obtain this information from income statement. Yeah, once again, assertion level in income statement. Yeah, you already learned about this. Yeah, there is an assertion level, class of transaction, yeah, account balance, yeah, from the balance sheet, and the third, presentation and disclosure. Yeah. So sorry, maybe I will stop here first. If you still remember this, wait. Okay, okay, I will share. Yeah, so if you still remember about this, yeah, the six of the responsibility and objective, you will know about this, yeah. Yeah, in here you can see this is the assertion level, yeah, from the transaction, yeah, yeah, from the transaction, from the account balance and presentation and disclosure. Yeah, so for consideration of audit risk, you have to take a look about this assertion in the transaction, which comes from the income statement, yeah, and from the account balance comes from the balance sheet, yeah, financial position, and presentation and disclosure. Yes. Okay, I will take again. Yeah, so once again, the consideration for fraud risk is the financial statement level as a whole. Yeah. And after that, the assertion level in the income statement, balance sheet, and presentation and disclosure. And for the fraud risk, usually, yeah, high-profile case of financial statement fraud involve misstatement in the revenue recognition. Yeah, many of the high-profile case, yeah, fraud case, it's because of the revenue recognition fraud. Yeah, they manipulate the revenue, they manipulate the profit. Yeah, like fictitious customer, yeah, fictitious recognition, yeah, something like this, like that. So in here, for the fraud race, you always have to consider about the revenue because yeah, this is like easy to manipulate the revenue. Okay, until here, is there any question for the fraud race? Yeah. Like a basic concept still.
I do have.
Yes, yes.
Why the high profile case is like in the misstatement of revenue recognition, sir?
Because it's easy to manipulate. It's kind of if you yeah like have the invoice here. I would like to say invoice is very easy to create it. Yeah, it's very easy to create. Yeah, you can have many false invoice. Yeah, you can create any invoice. Yeah, to boost your revenue. Yeah, yeah, it's very easy. And if in the financial statement also, yeah, in the revenue, yeah, revenue sales, it's also can easily manipulate. Sangat mudah dimanipulasi, sangat mudah berbuat curang, sangat gampang membuat transaksi palsu. Yeah, and also like the recognition of the transaction. Yeah, yeah. Like example, this is the financial statement to 2018, and you can recognize like the 2019 revenue to the 2018. It's very easy. Yeah. Yes, something like this. So, and for the amount, you can make a fraud in a massive amount, yeah, big amount of the yeah, the dollar or maybe the rupiah. That's why many of the high-profile case usually manipulate the revenue because it's very easy to manipulate. It is like you can hide the document, yeah. You can create any fictitious document, yeah. It's very easy, something like that. Fictitious customer, yeah. That's why you need to be audited. Yeah. We need to confirm, make a confirmation to the customer, something like that. Auditing process. Is it answered your question, Mario?
Yes, sir. So I can say that maybe it is because of the sensitive, yeah, the
Yes.
sensitiveness of the recognition.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and also revenue sales is kind of million transaction, thousand transaction, yeah, 10,000 or maybe 100,000, million transaction. So it's not easy to be like yeah, susah dilacak. Ya. It's not easy to detect for the auditor, something like that. Easy to create, hard to detect, something like that. Yeah. That's why we need many kind of the procedure. Okay, I will go for the fourth objective. It's about the auditor's responsibility to identify the significant risk. Okay. Once again, if you want to identify the significant risk, you have to need a special attention for sensitive case like the non-routine transaction, especially the transaction including the related party. Yeah, like I said before, you can easily make a fraud, make a false transaction with related party. Yeah, because that's why all of the related party transactions have to be audited, all of them. Not make a sample, not, but the population have to be audited, related party transaction, because it's often represent the significant risk, especially for the fraud risk. Account balance, this is account balance, neraca, or transaction, laba rugi, that require estimates, this is about the accounting, estimates, for which significant measurement is uncertainty, also require more attention. For the uncertainty measurement is kind of the low cases, belum tahu dendanya berapa gitu ya. Like the kerusakan lingkungan akan didenda masih belum tahu. Estimates for the pension, you have to calculate the pension for the next 20 years, it's from the account balance, something like that. So the transaction or account balance that require estimation, estimation calculation, with significant measurement uncertainty also require more attention, because the accuracy, the assertion accuracy, it's not easy to acceptable. Like you cannot have the 100% accuracy for this kind of estimation, because always estimation versus real, it's real usually it's not the same, but most likely more or less have to be kurang lebih sama lah, estimasi sama real. That's why all the transaction, all the account balance that require estimate have to be have special attention, something like that. And the third, this is there is no tolerance for this. All fraud risks are significant risks. All fraud risks are significant risks. Whatever the amount. It's like the 1 million. It's if this 1 million misstatement comes from the fraud case. This transaction is at the significant risk. Whatever the amount. Okay, until here, is there any question about the significant risk? So this is the special attention, non-routine transaction, especially with the related party transaction. And for the estimation requirement, and all the fraud risks are significant risk. Okay, is there any question in here about the identification of significant risk? But again, this is like tools to the auditors to detect the risk. To detect. There is a high chance, high risk. There is a material misstatement from this non-routine, from this related party, from this estimation, wrong estimation, and from the fraud risk, of course. Before, in the past, I have kind of this experience. The estimation, especially for the pension, you know, pension. So if you know, if you work in the company, the company have to deduct your wages. Like your wages is deduct. Deduct for what? For the pension matters. And of course, pension is kind of, if you like after you work 30 years later and you want to resign, you want to pension, this pension funds will be close to you. Once again, this pensions from the deduction of your wages. And for this 30 years calculation, it's need some kind of estimation, because we don't know. 30 years later, every year, we have kinds of increasing of the wages, of course. And of course, your wages from the 2020, and if you compare with the 2050, it's not the same. That's why you need kind of estimation to calculate your pension. Yeah, and I have this case before, and they calculate by themselves, and it's wrong. Yeah, because pension calculation it's not easy. If you know, there is actually a profession. The profession called actuarial. Did you know about this profession? This is accounting profession. Very rare to meet. Actuarial profession. Actuarial, yeah. This this kind of profession is comes from the accounting background and the statistic background because they specialists for calculate the estimation like the pension, something like that. Actuarial, this kind of promising profession in the future. Okay, until here, is there any question about the identification of significant risk? No? Okay, I will continue. Now we will begin with the risk model. Okay, this is the risk model. Yeah, this is the formula of the risk model. Okay, firstly, yeah, the risk of material misstatement at the assertion level. Okay, this is about the assertion level. Consists of two components, inherent risk and control risk. As you can see in here, inherent risk and control risk is in here. Inherent risk, control risk. Auditor consider this risk by applying the audit risk model. Yeah, inherent risk and control risk or the assertion level is in here. And there is a PDR, is plan detection risk, and AAR, acceptable audit risk. Okay. Before we talk about this, let's see this. Okay. Okay. This is the definition of the PDR. Yeah. IR, CR, and AAR. Plan detection risk is the risk that the audit evidence, okay, audit evidence for an audit objective will fail to detect the misstatement exceeding the performance materiality, yeah, PM. So this is the risk that the audit, yeah, audit evidence that we obtain, that we accumulated, it will be failed to detect the misstatement. And for the PDR risk, yeah, the PDR comes from the three other factors, yeah, the ER, CR, and AAR. Okay, for the ER, yeah, IR, the inherent risk, the auditor assessment of the susceptibility of an assertion to material misstatement. Yeah, okay. For the CR, it's from the auditor assessment of the risk that a material misstatement could occur in an assertion that prevented or detected by client internal control. Yeah, this is the key point. The risk that cannot be detected by client's internal control. That's the control risk. For the AAR, acceptable audit risk, this is the financial statement level. So this is the assertion level. This is the assertion. This is the financial statement level. Acceptable audit risk. This is the risk that how willing, yeah, the auditor is to accept the financial statement may be materially misstated after the audit is complete. So in before we actually have the calculation, the 5%, yeah, from the sales, yeah, that's the AAR, yeah. Yeah. So from the AR, you will get to the PM, yeah, performance materiality. Yeah, it's 50% until 75%, if I'm not wrong. This is the usually measurement. Yeah, this is the how willing, ya. So like seberapa uh, toleransi, ya, auditor dapat menerima laporan keuangan itu mungkin, ya, mempunyai salah satu material, ya, setelah audit itu sudah selesai. Proses semua audit sudah selesai dan, ya, unmodified opinion has been issued. Ya. Opini wajar tanpa pengecualian sudah dikeluarkan. Ya. So this is the financial statement level. This is the assertion level. And this is from the book definition. Yeah, and this is from my ya, bahasa sendiri, ya. So inherent risk can be also called by vulnerability risk or kerentanan, ya, kerentanan. Seberapa rentan, ya, seberapa rentan apanya? Account or transaction, ya, masing-masing akun di laporan keuangan atau transaksi yang terjadi. Seberapa rentan, ya. Vulnerability risk can lead to the misstatement. For the control risk, ya, this is the risk of the internal control of the company that unable to detect the misstatement. Yeah. The risk that internal control fail to detect misstatement. Yeah. So this is the model. Yeah. The ER, if the inherent risk called high, yeah, is high, that means the account is vulnerable of the transaction or is vulnerable. Ya, jadi akunnya atau transaksinya itu sangat rentan. If the inherent risk is low, so the account and the transaction, yeah, it's not vulnerable. Yeah, like there is no problem in the account or the transaction. And for the control risk, yeah, we call it high risk, high control risk. If the internal control is weak, yeah, if the internal control is weak, yeah, it's usually have misstatement, many misstatement on there. If the control is low, that means the internal control is strong, and it's difficult to have the misstatement, yeah, to find the misstatement. Okay, until here first. Is there any question about the inherent risk and control risk? Until here. This is the assertion level.
No, sir. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So once again, control risk, it comes from the internal control. Inherent risk, it's come from the account or transaction itself. Is it vulnerability or not? Ya, rentan atau tidak? Jika rentan, berarti resikonya tinggi, high risk. Okay. Now we go to the AR or the financial statement level. For the AR, this is the auditor risk may accept the misstatement. Yeah, how willing the auditor may accept the misstatement. How much the tolerance of the auditor may accept the misstatement after audit report is complete. Ya, after all the audit, temuan audit, ya, dikumpulkan, diakumulasi, and you can like accept the misstatements, the amount of the misstatement. Yeah, of course, AR is refer to the unmodified audit opinion. And yes, ER comes from the company business risk. If the company business risk is kind of the high, yeah, so the AR have the high risk. If the company business risk is low, yeah, we can call it low risk. Okay, and the PTR, yeah, it's come from the AR, inherent risk and control risk. Yeah. So like the formula in here, yeah, you can see here. Okay. PTR equal to the AR divided by the ER multiplied by the CR. Okay. So PTR is the definition, is the risk that the evidence, yeah, that you accumulate, that you obtain, will fail to detect a misstatement that exceeds the tolerable amount. Okay, once again, PTR is the risk that audit evidence that we accumulate will fail, to detect the misstatement. Why? Yeah, like we said in here, yeah, from the formula, PTR, it's come from the AR, ER, and CR. So, like I said, if, yeah, you can see in here, if the ER and CR in here is low risk, yeah. So the inherent risk is low, ya. Tidak ada akun yang rentan, tidak ada akun yang bermasalah, ya. Tidak terlalu banyak risiko dalam akun atau transaksi. So the inherent risk is low, and the control risk is low. Internal control is high, ya, strong. Pengendalian internalnya bagus, kuat, ya. Strukturnya sudah bagus, ya. Prosedur operasionalnya sudah kuat, ya, tidak ada celah. So the control risk is low. The business, yeah, the business company business, it's kind of mediocre, yeah. There is no problem, yeah. This is like the company business is kind of low also, yeah. So in here, PDR, yeah, even, yeah, you collect evidence, many evidence. If you collect many evidence, yeah, you will not find any misstatement. You will fail to detect the misstatement. Yeah, once again, the risk that audit evidence will fail to detect the misstatement because, yeah, okay, we call it low risk. Yeah, we call it low risk. We call it high risk. Okay, so whatever audit procedure you do, yeah, it will be slightly effective. It's kind of not effective, and you just need a small amount of audit evidence. You don't have to collect massive amount of audit evidence because, yeah, whatever you collect audit evidence, whatever amount, yeah, massive amount or small amount, yeah, the risk rely on the company is low because the inherent risk is low, the control risk also low. Yeah, there is no risk, yeah, like very low risk. So if you accumulate the audit evidence, you still fail to detect the misstatement. You still fail to detect the misstatement because they have strong internal control. They do not have any vulnerable account or transaction. So whatever amount you collect audit evidence, it still fail to detect because they have strong internal control. There is no account or transaction that vulnerable. Okay, until here, is it clear enough for you to understand the PDR?
About the formula, I don't understand the formula. Maybe there is example, sir.
Yeah, just now I give you the example. Okay.
Oh, I mean, is it apa kayak satuannya persentase atau apa gitu? I don't understand.
Oh, I see. You talk about the amount. Yeah. Okay. Once again, the amount is relative. Once again, the amount is relative. of its company. So in here you need the logic. Yeah, logic is kind of yeah the ER, yeah, the inherent risk. If the inherent risk is low, the control risk is low. Yeah, and yes, the PDR usually is high. Because the PDR will fail to detect the material misstatement because the inherent risk, yeah, there is no vulnerable account or transaction, and the control risk, they have strong internal control. So the PDR is high because whatever amount of audit evidence you collect, it still will fail to detect the misstatement. Yeah. Okay. This is the concept. And maybe from the concept itself, do you like have any problem to understand? Okay. Wait. Um, okay. Maybe we will jump into here. Yeah. Yeah. This is the AAR. This is the IR. CR. Okay. This is the PER. So this is the relationship. The inherent case have inverse, ya, EI, inverse relationship, ya, terbalik, ya. So if the inherent risk is high, usually the PDR is low. Have inverse relationship. Inherent risk, control risk to PDR also inverse. So if the control risk is high, the plan detection risk is low. Acceptable audit risk, ya, atas toleransi kita bisa menerima resiko acceptable audit risk. Ya. If the acceptable audit risk is high, yeah, usually the PDR is high because it's have the direct relationship and plan detection risk to the plan audit evidence. Yeah, uh, how much you collect the audit evidence have the inverse relationship, ya, hubungan terbalik. So if the plan detection risk is high, you don't need have massive amount of audit evidence, just yeah, normal audit evidence to collect. If the plan audit, the plan detection risk is low, so you will need many massive amount of audit evidence. Okay, until here is that clear about the relationship? Yeah. So yeah, the example is like yeah, because if yeah the inherent risk is low, which means ya there is no vulnerable account or transaction, ya tidak ada akun yang rentan atau transaksi yang rentan. So the plan detection risk is high because ya mau berapapun kita mengumpulkan bukti audit, ya resiko untuk gagal mendeteksi tetap tinggi karena tidak ada akun atau transaksi yang rentan, tidak ada resiko. Yeah, this is the low. Yeah, that's why this is high. Also, the control risk. If the control risk is low, which means they have strong internal control, the plan detection risk is high. Because ya, karena pengendalian internalnya itu sudah sangat kuat, makanya control risk-nya itu low. Jadi kalian mau mengumpulkan bukti audit sebanyak apapun, ya, tetap akan gagal. That's why plan detection risk, ya, resiko untuk gagalnya tinggi. Ya. Resiko untuk gagal mendeteksinya tinggi. Karena pengendalian internalnya sudah sangat kuat. So, until here, is there any question to understand the plan detection risk?
For now, no, sir.
Yeah, because this is the core of this chapter. Yeah? This is the core of this chapter. It's about the audit risk model. You have to know about the PDR, AAR, IR, and CR. So AAR is, yeah, how willing you accept the audit risk. Ya. Seberapa toleransi kalian bisa menerima risiko audit. Ya. Seberapa besar. Ya. Okay. And the IR, inherent risk, is about the account and the transaction nature. Resiko bawaan dalam transaksi, resiko bawaan dalam akun, masing-masing akun. Control risk, ya, it is about the internal control. Ya. Control risk is about the internal control will fail to detect the material mistake. So once again, all of this to detect the material misstatement. Once again, this model is to detect the material misstatement. And in the end, from this formula, you need to know how much evidence, how much audit evidence have to be accumulated. Ya, seberapa banyak bukti audit yang harus dikumpulkan dari formula tersebut. So this is like the model. This is the high, low. This is the ER and CR, inherent risk and control risk. This is the PDR. Yeah. So this is if the PDR is high, you don't have to collect many audit evidence, which means small amount is good. But if the PDR is low, you need to get massive amount of audit evidence. Yeah. So this is the concept about the audit risk model. Yeah, audit risk model. Okay. Sorry. This is the English. This is the Indonesia. Later I will correct this statement, because this statement is kind of false. If I watch it again, this statement is false. I will correct it later, and I will inform you in the way group if I already upload in the below. Okay, this is the Indonesian version. If you have difficulty to understand the English definition. Okay, I will go to the next part. Yeah, the sixth objective. It's about how to assess the AR. Ya. Bagaimana cara menilai acceptable audit risk? Okay. So auditor must decide the appropriate amount to accept the audit risk. Yeah, appropriate acceptable audit risk. Auditor must first decide the engagement risk. Yeah, engagement risk. This is the very first risk, from the engagement. Yeah, surat perikatan audit, and use it to modify the acceptable audit risk. Okay. Engagement risk is the risk that auditor, or the firm will suffer harm after the audit is finished, even though the report was correct. So this is the engagement risk. The engagement risk is closely related with the client business risk. Client business risk, because the risk that the auditor will be sued is often related to the business failure after the audit is finished. Once again, auditor profession, it's not safe profession. It's a risk profession. Yeah, I want to enhance this. If you want consider to become the auditor, it's not the safe profession, but kind of risk because you can be sued. You can be sued from your performance, from your work. Yeah, yeah. So it is like if the company has the business failure, of course you cannot publish the unmodified opinion. Yeah, you cannot publish unmodified opinion. Yeah, because they have the business failure. So it's most likely the modified opinion. So if you have the like not independent, have like the relationship with the client, and you publish unmodified opinion, even though they have business failure, you can be sued about your action. Something like that. Yeah, so this is the assessing the acceptable audit risk, and this is the factors. So that affect the audit acceptable audit risk. So once again, acceptable audit risk is the risk that how willing, seberapa besar kalian bisa menerima resiko audit setelah laporan auditnya itu sudah publish dan laporan auditnya adalah unmodified opinion. This is the factors that you need to consider. First, the degree of which external user will rely on the statements based on these three factors. So, which means you have to consider about the client size, how big your client, how big the company, the distribution of the ownership, how distribution of the ownership is it the majority it's come from the company or the majority it's come from the public. This is the factors because it will determine your risk. The distribution of ownership. If the distribution of ownership is majority comes from the company, they have high risk because once again, if the company has the control, they have the rights, the control to manipulate the financial statement or the decision, the strategy. But if the majority comes from the public, the stocks, and the majority of the stocks is from the public, it's kind the public have the 80% of the stocks. So there is it's kind of the low risk because the company itself cannot determine the strategy of the company, how to run the company this year, something like that. So it's like the control from the public is high. That's why the risk from the company is low. Pengawasan dari publik itu tinggi, sehingga publik bisa mengawasi perusahaan dengan lebih baik supaya perusahaan macam-macam. That's why this is the important factors in the distribution of the ownership. Okay, and the nature and amount of the liabilities. The nature. Jadi the liabilities, kewajiban, utang itu macam-macam. Nature, sifat dasar dari masing-masing kewajiban seperti apa? So there is many liabilities like the bank loan, like maybe the owner's loan or maybe the other's loan. The nature of the liabilities will determine the risk, and of course, the amount. The higher the amount, the risk is high. because maybe they have the gagal bayar, failure, business failure, something like that. Okay, maybe in here, is there any question about these three factors for assessing the acceptable audit risk? Okay, so this is yeah. Is there any question?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is the factor affecting acceptable audit risk comes from the external user perspective. So once again, external user usually watch what the client size. This is the most obvious. This come from the total asset. If your asset is massive, so your size is a big size company. And the distribution of the ownership, they have to know about the distribution, how much the public own, how much the company own. And of course, from the liability itself, because once again, liability can refer to the bankruptcy. If the company cannot tidak bisa melunasi hutangnya, maka the company have the high chance to become a bankrupt. Bisa bankrupt. And of course, the nature. This is like the bank loan. It's much more safe than the owner's loan because the guarantee is the bank itself. So these three factors come from the external user perspective and affect your acceptable audit risk. Okay. After that, the second is about from the financial performance, financial statement performance from the company. Financial performance. So you can like see about the liquidity position. Liquidity, seberapa lancar. And from the profit, of course, or maybe the loss, in the previous year, method, the strategy for the company to grow, the nature from the client operation itself, the nature, sifat dasar dari operasi bisnis klien sendiri bagaimana, and from the competence of the management, this is from the sumber daya manusia, tingkat management, how skilled their management level to run the company, how competence their management. This is from the company itself. This is from the external user perspective. This is from the company, and this is from the auditor. The auditor has to evaluate the management integrity. Once again, if we talk about the management integrity, we talk about the assumption. Assumption. We talk about the assumption. Completeness, occurrence, and so on. Jadi seberapa komit mereka melaksanakan asumsinya mereka. This is from the auditor exploration. This is from the company. This is from the external user. This is the factors that affecting the acceptable audit risk. Okay. So okay, this is the summary. Okay, so once again, if there is no problem in the external user, there is no problem in the company performance, there is no problem with the management integrity, so we can assume we can accept high audit risk. Acceptable audit risk is high because we can accept the risk. Because there is no problem in these factors. But if there is a risk about the distribution, there is a risk about the liability, there is a liquidity problem, there is not incompetent management, and there are many assertions that not accomplished last year, we cannot have tolerance about the audit risk. We cannot accept the audit risk, like have low tolerance of the audit risk. So we have to kind of minimize the tolerance. Okay, so next is about the asserting the inherent risk. But again, inherent risk comes from the account or transaction itself, the nature of the account or transaction itself. Okay, asserting inherent risk is attempted by the auditor to predict where misstatement are most likely happen in where segments in the financial statement. Is it from the revenue? Is it from the COGS? Is it from uh, the cash or maybe the accounts receivable? Yeah, you have to predict where the misstatement most likely happen. Yeah, in which segment. That's the interest residual. So from here, before you can actually determine the inherent risk, you have to get understanding from the business client, business operation. Okay, and of course, this will affect the amount of evidence for each segment. And the auditor needs to be accumulated. So it is like I think everything that the account receivable have the high inherent risk. So in this area, in this account receivable area, I have to get massive amount of audit evidence. Something like that. Or maybe, cash, cash equivalent. It's a low risk. There is no issue in the cash equivalent. So I don't have to collect many amount of audit evidence. This is the example. So it comes from the predict in which segment, that most likely have this statement. Okay, and the third, the auditor must assess the factor that make up the risk and modify procedure for the audit evidence to take them into consideration. Okay. In here, I want to enhance that audit evidence, audit evidence can be collected by the audit procedure. Once again, audit evidence can be collected comes from the audit procedure. That's why the auditor must assess the factors that make up the risk and modify the procedure so that you can have the appropriate and sufficient audit evidence. Okay, this consideration takes place during the planning phase and will be updated through the audit process. So for assessing inherent risk can be changed during the planning phase and during the audit process. So inherent risk in the planning phase cannot be the same. It's have the probability to be different inherent risk in the audit process. During the audit process. And this is the factors to consider about the inherent risk. Firstly, the nature of the client business. That's why I said before, you have the understanding of the client business, the result of the previous audits. So the temuan audit di audit sebelumnya will be assess the inherent risk. Just like the assessment journal, jurnal penyesuaian yang dibuat auditor sebelumnya, can be referred to the inherent risk. Is it low or high? And the third, the initial versus repeat adjustment. So this is about the peningkatan audit. Apakah ini pertama kali atau ini sudah continue berulang-ulang ya dengan klien ini. Related party, of course, non-routine transaction, of course. Judgment required to correctly record account balance and transaction. This is about the adjustment journal. Make up for the population. This is the sample size. Related to the fraud, financial reporting, misappropriation asset. This is the factors that need to be considered for assessing the inherent risk. Okay, until here, is there any question about assessing the inherent risk?
I think it takes time to understand, sir. So not for now.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, because but again, I want to say that you need to know about this formula. Because this formula once again to detect the material misstatement. So that's why you have to know how to assess the AR, how to assess the IR. For the CR, you can assess from the test of control. That's another procedure. Oh yeah, I'm still not explain you about this. Yeah, this is if you know the understanding of client. You have to know the industry and the external environment. You have to know about the operation. You have to know about the management, the objective and strategy, measurement and performance. This is for the understand client business. After you understand the client business, you can assess the risk. This is for the financial statement as a whole, the risk of the financial statement as a whole. After that, this is the assertion level. Assess the risk of material misstatement of the assertion level. And the assertion level divided by the inherent risk and control risk. This is the financial statement level. This is the assessment level, the assertion level. But before this, you have to understand the client business and industry. After that, you can have the audit risk model. Okay, this is the audit risk model. Comes from. Okay, I will continue. Okay, this is the relationship. Okay, before we go to this figure, for the modifying audit evidence, how much audit evidence has to be accumulated, the auditor can also make the following changes to respond to the risk. It is like the engagement may require more experience. As you can see, as you learned before, from the initial audit, perencanaan audit pertama kali, you already have the staffing base. Kalian sudah menentukan berapa banyak staff yang perlu ditambahkan. But after you have the better understanding of the business and but after you understand the client business and industry and you assess the risk, you may require more experienced staff if the risk is high. Once again, if the risk is high, maybe you can consider to get more staff. But if the risk is low, you can have the staff like the initial audit training. Okay, this is for the modifying the audit evidence. You can like mengakali dengan menambah jumlah staff. And the engagement will be reviewed more carefully than usual. engagement will be reviewed more carefully if the risk still high. Okay, now we will go to the relationship. So this is the AAR. And this is the three factors that just now we in here. So we are in assessing the acceptable audit risk. There are three: user, company, and the auditor. And in here you can see, this is the external user, this is the company, and this is the auditor for evaluating the integrity of management. And this is this factor from the inherent risk, the nature of business, previous audit result, initial versus repeat investment, related party, non-routine transaction, judgment requirement, make up of the population, the sample, related to the B statement, and the fraud matters. This is the fraud matters. This is the factors influencing the risk, and this is the factors for influencing the control risk. Of course, is it effective or not, the internal control? We have to assess. With the procedure name is POC, test of control. Okay, from the test of control, we will know about the control risks. We will know about the control risks. And with these three risks, we will determine the plan audit, plan detection risk, PDR. Okay, once again, once again, this is the formula. PDR comes from the AR divided by the AR and CR. And this is the relationship, like I said before. AR is a direct relationship, which means if the acceptable audit risk is high, the detection risk also high, the relationship. Inherent risk and control risk is inverse, have inverse relationship terbalik. So which means if the inherent risk is low and the control risk is low, the plan detection risk is high. And the plan detection risk itself have inverse relationship with the audit evidence. So if the plan audit detection risk is high, the audit evidence is low. Jika kemungkinan gagalnya besar untuk mendeteksi, tidak perlu mengumpulkan banyak audit evidence, cukup sedikit aja, karena kemungkinan gagalnya tetap besar. Karena ini inherent risk-nya tidak ada akun yang tetap, mengendalikan internal kuat, dan kita bisa menerima massive amount of audit risk. This is the relationship. Okay. Is there any question about this audit risk model? So difficult to understand.
It take time, sir.
Thank you. So this is the core of the chapter 9. This is the audit risk model. We have to know about the plan detection risk, acceptable audit risk, inherent risk, and control risk. Okay. Okay, so this is kind of the for the relationship. Two, how much we have to accumulate the evidence. So, like the first situation, yeah, the is high. Inherent risk is low, control risk is low. Yeah, constantly the plan detection risk also high because once again inherent risk and control risk inverse relationship hubungan terbalik dengan PDR. AR, AR have positive or direct relationship with the PDR. Yeah, this is most obvious. I don't know, of course, the PDR and the PDR have inverse relationship with the amount of evidence that required. So if the detection rate is high, you don't have to get you just have to get low amount of audit evidence. And if the AR is low, but if the risk control is also low, the PDR is medium. And of course, the amount of the evidence also medium. If, yeah, this is the opposite. AR is low, in risk control is high, PDR will be low. And first audit evidence, you have to get a massive amount of audit evidence to the material misstatement. Once again, this is referred to the material misstatement. You have to detect the material misstatement. So this is the first question. If all of the material, of course, and this is mixed with the AR is high. Inherent risk is low. Probably is medium. Not evidence also medium. That is kind of example of the situation of the audit-based model. All of this model, once again, the audit-based model is to detect the amount of evidence. Because for the amount of evidence, we have to detect the misstatement. Yeah. You have to prove how much the misstatement the management give. Okay, I will go. Okay. And yes, this is the example of the worksheet kertas kerja. Okay, let you see in here. This is the assertion. All of this is assertion. Yeah. This is assertion of the financial statement as a whole. You know, like I will stop here first. If you take a look in here, yeah, this is the assertion, all of the assertion. Yeah. Assertion. And this assertion will be considered to measure the risk, detail tie-in, existence, completeness, accuracy, classification of realizable value, and the rest. Actually, we have to know about the acceptable audit risk. The auditor, yeah, like, oh, all of them is medium. I accept the medium level. And for the inherent risk, yeah, this kind of inherent risk, you have to take a look in the company because once again, every company have, yeah, each company have different risk level. So in this company, yeah, this is from the Salesforce hardware for the account receivable. Yeah, this is for the account receivable. The segment, again, the segment is account receivable. Inherent risk for the detail in is low, which means there is no tidak ada kerentanan pada akun piutang. Ya. Detail in means the detail ya, sumber data itu sama. Ya. Sumber data di akun piutang ya, dengan yang di financial statement itu sama. Detail in-nya sama. Ya. Existence medium. Yeah. So they have to collect they have to prove the existence of the customer, yeah, the existence of the invoice. Completeness is low. Yeah, there is no risk for the completeness, which means they prefer the daftar piutang ya itu punya resiko yang rendah atas completeness. Completeness means all of the transaction is complete. Di record semua complete. Accuracy low, classification low, ya, cut off medium, realizable value medium, price low. Yeah. So after that, yeah, this is about the control risk. Yeah. So in the control risk also you have to test for the cells, yeah. Cells internal control, and you can get this measurement. So the measurement is low, medium, high. Yeah, it's not like that. Some auditor have the percentage number, but for the audit trace model, yeah, we have the three measurement. Sorry, in here. Yeah. Okay, like you see in here, measurement limitation. Yeah. One major limitation in the application of the audit risk model, yeah, is the difficulty of measuring the component. Yeah, that's why you have the difficulty to understand this audit risk model. And we can say audit risk model is highly subjective process. Yeah, once again, audit risk model is most likely have highly subjective process, which means ini sangat subjektif, tergantung auditornya. And most of auditor have these categories to measure: low, medium, high. So these three of measurement that usually auditors do. Not the percentage, not the specific number. No, the measurement is low, medium, or high. Based on what? Based on the subjective of the auditor itself. That's why in this worksheet, as you can see in this worksheet, the medium, low, it comes from the auditor judgment. Control is differential. Yeah. Control is additional control. So this three comes from the TOC, yeah, test of control. Yeah, if you still remember, yeah, if you still remember that TOC, test of control, the model of the worksheet is comes like this. Yeah, if you still actually I already showed it before. This test of control, yeah? Test of control. So we have to test, yeah, internal control of the revenue. Yeah. Come from the customer, the invoice, the sales order, yeah, the delivery slip, the offline day, until they recorded in the financial statement, in the general ledger. You have to test the internal control from the marketing department, from the production, from the warehouse department, until the export department, until the accounting department record the transaction. This is the test of control. After you do all of this test of control, you will fill this you will update, you will update the risk of the this control risk. Something here, is there any question maybe here?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, this is for the TOC and STOT, substantive test of transaction. And in here, oh yeah, this is substantive test of transaction, sales. Substantive test of transaction, just receipt. Okay. Substantive test of transaction is like what is kind of you recalculate. Is it true the invoice and the amount and the amount in the financial statement is the same? You have to do the substantive test of transaction. This is for the sales. This is for the cash receipt. Why? Because this is about the this is about the account receivable piutang. Ada hubungannya dengan penjualan dan penerimaan kas. And after that, you got the analytical procedure, AAP, yeah. And after that, this is the plan detection risk, yeah, PDR. This is the PDR, yeah. From here, yeah, from the AR, inherent risk and control risk. We got the PDR. And after you got the PDR, you will determine the audit evidence. Yeah, this is the audit evidence. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is the worksheet of the this model for conversion model. Yeah. So this is the worksheet. Usually in the reality, we feel this form is after the audit is complete. Yeah, because usually we like this is kind of administration. Yeah, this is kind of administration work. Yeah, but for the theory process, you have to update this worksheet in the beginning and in the process. Yeah. But in the reality, we do not fill this worksheet in the process in the beginning, but after the audit, usually that's the different reality. Yeah, and yeah, this is the last part of the relationship. I just want to enhance that risk is kind of tools to measure the uncertainty. Materiality is a measure of the magnitude size, berapa besar. Yeah. So the concept of materiality and risk is closely related and inseparable. Tidak bisa dipisahkan. Tidak bisa dipisahkan. Ya. Risk untuk mengukur ketidakpastian. Ya, that's why you have the audit risk model. Materiality to measure the magnitude. Ya, seberapa banyak. If we call about the materiality, so we talk about the audit evidence. Ya, seberapa banyak kita mengumpulkan audit evidence. Semakin material, ya kita harus mengumpulkan banyak audit evidence. Okay, this is the end of the chapter. Is there any question about the audit risk model?
No for me.
Easy. Yeah. So yeah. So in short, the summary is here. This is the summary of this step. Yeah, this is the summary of this step. Factors, yeah, to assess the AR inherent risk or risk, and the relationship to have the plan detection risk, and the plan detection risk will determine the audit evidence. Yeah, this is the summary of this chapter. So please understand this model because kind of important to know what the risk. Yeah, because once again we cannot have like the absolute assurance because we have risk to the audit. We have the uncertainty of the fraud, yeah, the uncertainty of the material statement. So that's why we need to measure, yeah, measure the risk. Yeah, how willing we accept the risk. Karena kita auditor tidak mungkin memeriksa semua punya limitation ya dalam cost itu dan juga biaya. That's why we need to assess the risk in the beginning and in the middle. Okay, if there is no question, yeah, we can end this meeting. We will report.